Am I the a-hole for buying my dream house, and now my family says I stole it from my sister? Throwaway account for obvious reasons. I am still shaking as I write this, because I genuinely cannot believe the turn my life has taken in the span of a single week. What was supposed to be the greatest achievement of my adult life has turned into a bitter, family-ending feud. My 27F wife, 30F, and I recently closed on our dream house, and it has the family torn. To understand why this is such a lightning rod for drama, you have to understand the history of this property. Years ago, my grandparents owned what everyone called the family home. It wasn't just a building, it was the heartbeat of our entire lives. It was a massive, sprawling lakefront estate where every single birthday, holiday, summer reunion, and random Sunday dinner took place. But when my grandparents died unexpectedly, they left behind a mountain of medical debt and various expenses. The estate was forced into a sale to cover the costs. It was heartbreaking and sad. I remember standing in the driveway as a small child, watching my parents pack up the last of the heirlooms, and I decided right then that one day, I would buy the house back. I shared those dreams with my sister constantly as we grew up. It was my North Star. I met my wife when I was 18 and she was 21. Early on, we were incredibly lucky. Her parents owned a small rental property that they allowed her to live in rent-free, provided she covered the utilities and taxes. She invited me to move in a year into our relationship, and we got married a year after that. From our very first serious conversation about the future, I told her about my dream of reclaiming my grandparents' house. She didn't think I was crazy. She fully supported me. We made a pact. We would live as frugally as humanly possible to make this happen. Because we weren't paying a traditional mortgage or rent, and because we both worked hard and landed good jobs despite the state of the economy, we were able to funnel an incredible amount of money into a dedicated high-yield savings account. We skimped. We didn't go on fancy vacations. We drove older cars. For 9 years, we budgeted with a level of intensity that most people our age would find suffocating. My in-laws, seeing how dedicated we were, also generously offered us a sum of $75,000 to help with the down payment. In total, between our aggressive savings and their gift, we had about $185,000 ready to go. About 20 years after my grandparents passed away, the house finally hit the market. My heart nearly stopped when I saw the listing. It was listed at a massive price, reflecting the land and the potential, though the house itself had become a bit of a time capsule. It's huge, 6 bedrooms, a pool, a small guest house, and that beautiful lakefront view. We knew it would be a stretch, but we were ready. My sister was also house shopping at this time, but her circumstances were very different. She and her husband have children, significant student debt, and they've been renting for the past several years. They haven't had the luxury of a rent-free start, and they haven't been able to save in the same way we did. When the house went live, I was so excited that I immediately sent the link to her. I told her, "We're finally doing it. We're getting the house back in the family." She responded with so much excitement. She said things like, "I can't believe it's finally happening. And this is amazing for the family." I took that at face value. Why wouldn't I? My wife and I moved forward with a grueling process of inspections and negotiations. The house was severely outdated. It looked like no one had touched a single fixture or carpet since my grandmother passed, but the bones were solid. We made an offer, it was accepted, and we were absolutely over the moon. Throughout this entire closing process, my sister kept talking about how nice it would be for her children to know this house and grow up in it like she and I did. I thought she meant as visitors coming over for the holidays we planned to host. I thought she was happy that her kids would have the same lakefront summers we had. Looking back, her phrasing was a bit weird, but I didn't see any red flags. I just thought she was being sentimental. We decided to host a barbecue at my parents' house to celebrate the final closing. It was supposed to be a victory lap. During dinner, the conversation turned to the logistics of the move. My mother-in-law, Emile, was there, and she kindly offered to kennel our dogs for a week while we moved our furniture and started the initial tear-outs. She wanted to keep them safe and out of the way of the contractors. That's when the record scratched. My sister piped up, her voice sharp. She asked why our dogs needed to be watched when the real issue was her kids. My wife, confused, asked what she meant. My sister looked at us like we were the idiots and said that her kids would obviously need more supervision during a move than dogs would, and she was confused as to why we'd be so busy that the dogs needed a kennel if she was the one moving in. I told her I was the one confused. I asked her why she thought her kids were part of this move. I told her that if her kids couldn't be left to their own devices, then she definitely shouldn't be over at the property helping us pack or clean. My sister's face went pale, then bright red. She asked, "Why would you and wife be packing? Why would you be moving in?" I stated the obvious. Because we just closed on the house? It's our house. The next hour was a blur of screaming and crying. For length reasons, I'll spare you the repetitive back and forth, but here is the gist of her logic. My sister had it in her head that because I said I was buying the house back for the family, that meant I was acting as a straw buyer for her. She genuinely thought we were buying it to either rent to own it out to her family at a massive discount, or, get this, simply transfer the title to her name and let her pay us back whenever she could. She never asked. We never discussed it. We have never once suggested we were in a financial position to just gift someone a 6-bedroom lakefront estate. When I told her that was absolutely not happening, she threw a total fit. She started screaming that this was her dream too, and that it wasn't fair that my wife and I got to live the dream just because we didn't have kids. She started crying about how her children deserved to grow up there and demanded to know what 2 women needed all that space for anyway. My wife, who has been a saint through all of our budgeting years, finally snapped. She told my sister, "It isn't the family home anymore. It wasn't left in a will to be shared. We purchased it with our own blood, sweat, and savings. It is our home, and we decide what happens there." My sister turned on her and told my wife to shut up, claiming she had no say in what was a family discussion. That was it for me. I stood up and informed my sister that if she ever spoke to my wife that way again, she wouldn't just be losing out on a house. She'd be losing her sister. I told her she doesn't get to assume someone is giving her a literal mansion and then throw a hissy fit when she's put in her place. We grabbed our things and left while she was still sobbing into a napkin. My in-laws called us later that night. They were horrified on our behalf and told us we were completely in the right. I assumed my parents would eventually cool off and see how insane my sister was being. I was wrong. I woke up to a barrage of texts and voicemails from my parents. They told me I was out of line for threatening my sister. They said they were disappointed in me for taking my sister's dream away from her. My mom actually said that because I don't have kids, I can't understand her want to provide them with a good home, and that it's only fair that my wife and I set up a way to give her the house. They even suggested we find something else because we could clearly afford it. Even distant cousins I haven't spoken to in years are messaging me saying it's cruel to hoard a family legacy when my sister's kids could be living there. I am in total shock. I've read stories like this on Reddit before, about entitled relatives, but I never thought my own flesh and blood would expect me to hand over a house I worked 9 years to afford. It feels surreal. I hate that we're starting this new chapter on such a sour note, but I refuse to back down. Am I the a-hole for buying my sister's dream house? Edit. Wow. This blew up in such a short amount of time. Thank you all for the support. To clarify a few things. Yes, I am a woman. My wife and I are both women. And yes, the house is big, but it is severely outdated. The price reflected the fact that it needs a total overhaul, wiring, plumbing, cosmetic work, everything. No one has renovated it since the 90s. Update, I can't read and respond to all of these comments, but thank you. I honestly didn't think this was that big of a deal initially, but after scrolling through the comments with my wife, we're both taking the safety aspect much more seriously. A security system isn't an option at this exact moment because the house is currently a construction zone. There's no internet on the property yet, and the work being done is so extensive that cameras would just be in the way or getting covered in dust. We'd have to keep moving them. However, we're taking precautions. We have someone coming out to change every single lock on the property this Thursday. We won't be moving in for a while because of the state of the interior. To the people saying the story is fake because the price is too low for the features, please remember that lakefront doesn't always mean luxury. This is an old house that has been neglected for 2 decades. We are also in a state where property values haven't gone completely insane yet, and the condition of the house acted as a major deterrent for other buyers. We saw the potential where others saw a money pit. I haven't responded to any of the toxic messages from my family. I'm just focusing on the house and my wife. I'll update again if something major happens, but for now, we are holding our ground. Update. For the goddamn life of me, I can't get my post to link, but I'm sure if you're reading this, it's because you've already read my original post. If someone would link it in the comments, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you to everyone for being so supportive and offering advice. To those who suggested getting a security system in place, we're going to do that, but the house is not in a place where a security system can be installed. For the time being, we're looking into getting some battery-powered trail cameras. As suggested by one Redditor, I can't find your comment in the sea anymore, but you know who you are? We don't have to worry about internet access, and they won't be in the way of renovations. We are restoring the house back to its original glory, pre-carpeted bathrooms, and mismatched wallpaper. Besides fixing broken shit and upgrading old appliances, we'll be having the floors redone, paint, wallpaper, new windows, and opening up some walls that shouldn't be there. For the next 2 weeks, my wife and I will be meeting with people coming out to work on electricity, plumbing, and a few other things, and we do have a consultation with a home security company. Along with cameras, we're looking to get alarms and door codes and set up an access gate around the property. One of those that needs either a passcode or to be let in by someone in the house. We've already made an appointment to have the locks changed and aren't concerned about my family trying to squat there. My in-laws have allowed us to park their camper trailer on the property while work is being done, not only for peace of mind, but to avoid commuting back and forth multiple times daily. For the actual update, I was hesitant to post this update since it's so soon after my original post, but I guess enough has happened for it to be useful information. The events of the barbecue took place last week, but I only got around to writing it all out yesterday. I sent a message to my parents and siblings yesterday evening, asking to meet up to talk things through and try and figure out what's wrong and what exactly the hell is happening. Earlier today, my wife and I met my parents and my brother's family at his house before my sister arrived. I let them know that if they tried to interrupt or control the conversation, we would leave. I told them that I never once even suggested my sister would be allowed to rent out the house or buy it from us, that I didn't know where she got the idea from, and showed them the text strings where I first sent her the listing and every conversation where I updated her on the progress. My mom asked to see the rest of the conversations about the house, and I told her there were none. She informed me that my sister told them all that we had made an agreement that my wife and I would purchase it and then rent it out to my sister's family until they'd paid enough to buy it. That we would live in the guest house and they'd get the main house. She told them that we had gone back on our deal and had absolutely shattered her dreams of raising her kids in the house she grew up in. We gave our side, and it wasn't difficult at all to convince my parents that we were telling the truth. With the lack of evidence on my sister's part and absolutely no legal documentation, my parents didn't even attempt to try and back up what she told them. My parents were very apologetic and let us know that they never would have said those things to us had they known the truth, and that they supported us 100%. My brother was supportive of us as well, but he was never one of the people harassing us over this, so his reaction is less important. Around then, my sister and her husband showed up. My BIL is a doormat and will give my sister whatever she wants, so I wasn't expecting much from him. I asked her to produce any of the necessary evidence to prove that I told her we'd rent the house out to her, that her lie was ill-conceived, and that she better have a good explanation. She attempted to suggest that I had deleted the conversation, but when she couldn't produce said messages either, her story fell apart. She started crying, saying it wasn't fair that we got everything handed to us and that we didn't need a house this big, and that we were rubbing our wealth in her face. So, to my understanding, she thought she could trick everyone into bullying us into renting our house out to her? I guess? Like some kind of fucked-in-the-head Scooby-Doo villain? Instead of using ghosts to scare us away, she's using a fake rental agreement that she didn't even attempt to make look or sound legit. We let her know that she had a lot of apologizing to do before we'd consider having a relationship with her moving forward, and that she wouldn't be welcome in our home for a long time. At the moment, our relationship with my parents is rocky at best, for obvious reasons. They let us know that they're here to support us if we need moving assistance or help with renovations, but it'll take some good, hard thinking to decide if we're okay with that. We will not be giving anyone in my family a spare key, but my wife's parents will receive one for emergencies. The house won't be in a state to host guests for a bit, so we are choosing to cross the "can my family be trusted at our home" bridge when we come to it. To answer some common questions I've noticed in the comments, my sister obviously has some screws loose, but my parents don't really coddle her. She's what you can consider the golden child and the baby, but honestly most of her antics up until this point were just one-upping achievements during our childhood or seeking more attention from our parents. She's dramatic, entitled, and a little selfish, but has never displayed this level of crazy before. Yes, we will get a security system, but not for a bit. No, my family will not be trusted with a key. Yes, I am a woman. I know it's crazy. How can two women be married, lol. My wife and I do not have kids, and will not have them in the future. My sister has done some odd things, but nothing as absolutely absurd as this. We will be meeting with an estate planner to put everything into writing. We plan on leaving the property to my SIL and her kids, with my MIL as the executor of our estate for the time being. My sister and her family rent a small house in town. They aren't struggling per se. They each are college educated with good jobs, but children are expensive, and then adding in student debt and $2,000 a month in rent, you aren't exactly living it up. Also, there's a surprising amount of people mad at my wife and I for being rich. We are not wealthy. My in-laws are comfortable and are generous enough to allow us to occupy their rental at no charge. They bought a new house decades ago and just didn't sell their previous one, so they allowed my wife to live there. The down payment was my wife's college fund from years ago. Her parents put money in it, but when she decided to go into a trade, they kept the money and saved it specifically for the purpose of a down payment. When we told them that the house was up for sale finally, they offered the college fund they had kept for her. We work good paying jobs, but we're able to save so much because we didn't have to pay 2 grand a month for housing. We did skimp and save, and we did damn well earn it. We lived below our means and spent years foregoing any kind of luxuries to afford something we wanted. So, yeah, not as drama-filled as a lot of people were expecting or hoping. I don't see this as the end of it, not at all, but for the time being, my wife and I are focusing on dealing with our new house and not my sister. She's blocked on both our phones as of this morning, and I'm not sure when I plan on unblocking her. Edit to add some more information. We are leaving the house to my SIL and her kids because my sister is the only close family member on my side with children. Neither I nor my brother have kids. I have cousins with children, but we are not close, not nearly as close as we are to my SIL and her children. We aren't leaving it to my brother because he's in the same generation as us, and hopefully we won't precede him in death by decades like we likely will my SIL's kids. A lot of people were upset or confused by this because I wanted the house back in the family. My wife's relatives are my family too. Our relationship with my parents at the moment is rocky because, despite the fact that they apologized and support us, they still took my sister's side immediately with zero evidence to her claims. I figured that was obvious, but a surprising amount of people are saying they don't deserve that. I do plan on posting pictures and renovation updates of the house, but not for a bit. Because the sale is so recent, it's still floating around on some of the real estate websites and apps, and since the address is on those listings, it's not safe at the moment. When I said pre-carpeted bathrooms, I meant the era before they carpeted them. We're restoring it to before the 80s that everything in the house seems to be stuck in. Edit 2. Damn, a lot of y'all don't consider your spouse's family your own family, and it shows. My family is not more important or a higher priority than my in-laws. My in-laws are my family too. When you marry someone, you blend families. The house going to my SIL and her kids most definitely is keeping the house in the family because this is the family we created. Also, my in-laws made it possible to even achieve this, so if we were to go the who's more deserving of our property when we die route, my in-laws would be more entitled to it than my family. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Daily Tales Update.